Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Wise Tech for Wise Money, the show where we explore the people, platforms, and ideas shaping smarter business, better outcomes, in a rapidly changing world. Today's episode is titled From Capital Markets to Health Tech, Building ZoomDoc Health with Neil Taub. I'm your host, Gary Wayne, founder of A1 Solutions. At A1 Solutions, we work with leadership teams, founders and businesses to improve efficiency, scale intelligently, and grow through smarter use of AI technology and operational strategy. This podcast is part of our mission, real conversations with real people who are actively building businesses, providing everyday solutions. Today's guest is Neil Taub, co-founder of ZoomDoc Health, a fast-growing health tech company transforming how people access medical documentation, from same-day sick notes to specialist medical letters, using technology to remove friction from healthcare. What makes Neil's story particularly compelling is the journey. More than 2 decades in capital markets, followed by a decisive pivot into entrepreneurship, leaving the city to build a mission-driven health tech business in one of the most regulated sectors there is. I'm pleased to invite Neil and welcome Neil on board. Neil, welcome to the show. Please give us a little bit of a history about your story, how you came from capital markets to where you are today over a 20-year period.
First off, Gary, thank you very much for inviting me. It's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to speak to people like yourself on a Thursday afternoon, so thank you.
You're welcome. It's good to have you here.
My background, as Gary said, I was 23 years in the city, primarily with some of the larger investment banks, boutique in between. I worked in New York, Paris and Milan. I moved around for them. And I enjoyed what we did, Gary. I mean, we come from the same industry, so we've got the good, the bad, and the indifferent stories. We've got the players, the non-players, the wannabes. We've seen them all. And I was working the last 11 years in the city up until May 2019 for Morgan Stanley on their sales trading equities to European equities to institutions and hedge funds around the world. My small network of people that I speak to every day was maybe 20 hedge funds and 20 institutions, and I loved what I did. I really did love the city. I loved the buzz. I loved the fact getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and getting home at 2 o'clock in the morning. My missus didn't obviously love all of that. My kids missed out on certain things. I was driven to win, driven to do things, but I wasn't a political animal. That was it. So when the time came, May the 19th, 2019, I got the tap on the shoulder. It was like the Matrix, like, now what the bloody hell do we go and do? So that was the story. And then if we fast forward, I thought I'd take my missus, bless her, she said, we'll go and take a couple of months out and decide what you want to do. And I actually went to a corporate event in the June, July of 2019, having got up early and taken kids to school and be slightly different workflow or work day to what I was doing. And I looked at everyone and everyone was miserable. And I thought, right, I'm done. I don't know what I'm going to do, but everyone was moaning and commissions are down and this is not right and I have an internal political thing. I thought, you know what? 23 years unscathed, clean name, workaholic, I want to do something else. I thought, turning left at the lights. And that's why I decided to leave the city. I didn't want to go from Morgan Stanley to JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs to play another political game, another angle, or go to a tier 2 broker and play a real political game. And I thought, now's the time to try and do something else. And then the pandemic came along. So the rest, as they say, is history.
Having worked in such a hard, pressurized environment, I mean, what did that teach you about discipline, resilience, leadership, and how did that set you up? What skills did it give you to help you now as a founder?
That's a good question. First off, every day starts at zero. Every day is a zero. You're coming
Every
in at
day's a
6
new
o'clock.
day.
Every day is a new day, you're at zero. If I had a good trade and I'd made money for the firm or made money for the book, by 9 o'clock in the morning, I was not one of the salunchalots. Get out there and let's go and enjoy it, right? I was a workaholic. I was in at 6. I would stay to the end. I'd do everything. It taught you that it's about relationships. The city is all about relationships. It taught you about responsibility. You're dealing with lots of money the whole time. You know, some of these tickets are proper tickets, so you've got to make sure you're on the game. You've got to have fun. You can have some banter. There were some run-ins over the years. That's a very different conversation on a very different podcast. But it taught you that you have to be resilient. It taught you, in fact, even more so when I've come out, lots of people that get tapped on the shoulder, whether from the city or different industries, they figure out, okay, what can I do? And I look back 6 years down the line to what we are achieving, my own personal journeys to where things are. If you have the resilience, tenacity, doggedness to say, I'm going to knock on every door and no one wants it more, that's what it taught you. Every day I went into the city, I wanted to beat the guy next to me. He may have got paid 3x or 5x to what I got paid. I wanted to beat him every day, and I wanted to beat the guy, my colleagues at different, or my peers at different banks. I wanted to beat him. I wanted to win. I'm not a professional athlete, but I wanted to win every day. And I gave it my best.
Like that now?
I've grown. I have different conversations. I meet people like yourself, Gary, lots of different mentors, entrepreneurs, investors, whatever it is. As the famous Muhammad Ali said, fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Right? And I want to be able to. It's an amazing journey. It's a creative journey. Most people, I don't care what industry you're in, I speak to some lawyers at the very, very top in the city, they're earning silly money, right? But do they really love it? Do they enjoy it? The top of the investment bank? Are you really, really enjoying it on $20, $30 million a year? Right? What gets you up? You have to get up with purpose. I have ability at 53, have turned left at the lights 6 years ago and saying, I want to have a seat at the table. I want to have a seat at the table and I want to grow something. And actually, and this is, so I don't know where this audience goes to, but the head of trading, who ultimately signed off on me being made redundant, I've never ever lost respect for him. And in fact, the day I got made redundant, I phoned him up, and the Friday before Christmas, I phoned him every time and say, hello, how are you? How's your year? How's your year? Da, da, da. And he must be thinking at the back of his mind, why is he doing this? And I look at it, you gave me a second opportunity, and I'm not going to waste it.
It's amazing. You mentioned that when you went to that meeting, that everyone was miserable.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was?
I'll tell you why, because all of my peers started off in the industry when you're making 100 basis points, it went down to about 0.2 of a basis point. You're having to work harder and faster, implementation of technology, whatever it is, playing a different game, market's not sure where they are. I like to put it, the angel of death is always hanging over you. Always hanging over you. And I thought, at some point you've got to step out of your comfort zone and say, I want to do and I want to build something else that has impact and scale.
So talk me through the crossroads. So you turned left, you decided that the city was no longer for you. You wanted a new start, a new opportunity. What was running through your mind? What did you think you were going to do?
I looked at everything. I networked like I never networked. Right, it's different networking in the city and meeting all your clients and punters down the boozer and going out with them at night. I went to the opening of an envelope. So I had things where I was privy of a very good friend of mine was general counsel for a large oil conglomerate, and he wanted fuel delivery systems to come to your house. there was a company based in London that deliver fuel, and I had a diesel car, and they'd come. Every 2 weeks they'd come, I'd just open up the kimono to see what's in there. I went to Paris to see him, and I came back one day and Extinction Rebellion shut down London. I said, there's no fuel delivery, forget about it. I looked at the time, crypto, but it was too early and I didn't fancy it. I didn't want to go into that. I looked at medical cannabis. I looked at legalizing cannabis. I looked at loads of different things. But what that did was taking me from a trader where they're 2-4 on the screen and you have to think outside. You have to think laterally. You have to brush up on skills. So anyone that is transitioning from anything in the city to a different industry, figure out the bits twofold. Figure out where you want to be, i.e. discount everyone that you don't want to be associated with. No disrespect to any of those industries, I didn't want to fit in there. Second bit is brush up on the skills that you think you're lacking and everyone can learn, and the ability to learn every day is the greatest attribute that anyone can have. Whether it be reading, listening, podcasts, meeting people, expanding your mind. Otherwise you're siloed.
And how long did it take you to find something you wanted to be involved in?
So I was made redundant in May 19. I had the summer off, kids back in school. My youngest was 5 at the time. And then my oldest was 11, so 11, 9 and 5. And it came to about the October and I'm miserable. I'm really miserable because I want to be doing something. And then I suppose my mood got away. But during that time, I will always remember those that gave of their time. I will always remember those that gave of their time, their advice. I'm blessed to have a most amazing supportive family, but I'm blessed to have amazing friends that would say, Neil, how's it going, whatever. And actually, I think when you don't have a job and people say, what do? You lack purpose, you lack belief. You haven't got a story to say. You feel a bit of a
void.
You're letting yourself down, you're letting your family down, you've got responsibilities, you go through that mixed emotions. And then COVID came along. And my partner, Kenny, had originally, and we'll go into the business, but ZoomDoc originally was a telemedicine provider, and they had 4,000 or 5,000 people. I saw him, I'd never spoken to him in my life before. So when I write the book, and you will get a signed copy, Gary, that I saw this car driving around ZoomDoc in our local area, never ever spoken to the guy in my life before. And I thought, what did he do? I looked it up, COVID was coming, January, February, COVID's coming. And he's a telemedicine provider. I couldn't even spell telemedicine. I then looked up what they're doing. And then I reached out to him on the 13th of March on LinkedIn. Hi, Kenny, you don't know who I am. We live locally. I see you've got a telemedicine business. Perhaps I can help you. And his response, to be fair, maybe he should have just cut it then. You're an ex-trader, stroke sales trader. I'm a doctor. No synergy. Thank you very much for your time. I wish you the best of luck. But the city taught you it doesn't make a difference. You can turn me down today. I'm going to make sure you come back to me tomorrow.
What did you do?
So I'm going to just rewind for a second. So what did I do? So I sent him this message. Perhaps I can help you. Waited a day. He came back. He's got nothing to lose. Let's figure this out. So it was coming down. So we didn't even meet. He was working at his house, and he's got a very small micro business, or a couple of thousand patients. And we started discussing, what does the city teach you? And it's not everyone. It's about trust. It's about building that relationship. Those are the two things, right? I'm telling you, those are the two things. So I sent him a message, and he called me, and so if this was March 2019, maybe conversation, what can you do, whatever. I put together a presentation for him, try and figure out, maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but it gave me purpose to do something. And then I went to, so he said that actually we can get an antibody test, okay? You can get an antibody test, great. Where's it from? China. I said, first off, don't touch it. If Gary wants to test today, I need to deliver, I need to execute. But you've got 4,500 patients that have used your platform. Ensure that they send them an email. If we can get an antibody test, would you be interested? And of the 4,500 people, 623 people said, yes, there is. So therefore, I built up the demand side of the equation. Simple. 3 weeks later, TDL, the doctor's laboratory that we used, and they obviously made off like a lot of people during the pandemic. They said they're looking for private doctors. We got an antibody test. I said to Kenny, says, now what do we do? So I said, we got the Roche assay, so we've got the advocacy, the efficacy of the test. More importantly, we know there's demand. Go back to the original 623 and see who wants it. So he sent an email out. We've now got the Roche assay. Who would like to buy it? Right, £79, I think it was. And he said, okay. So this is on Friday afternoon. I called him on Saturday night. I said, what's the story? He goes, we've got 125 people that want to pay £79 tomorrow. What do we do? You start at the top, I'll start at the bottom, we'll get all their details, we've got a payment system, we'll figure it out. At the time, my best mate had a food distribution business up in Elstree, and we got all the details. I never even used a postage stamp. I'm now sending out 125 kits on Monday, trying to figure out how do we get them there. We got them out there. Within 10 days, we sold 600 units. So we're starting to build up momentum. We don't know from marketing, we know nothing, but we're starting to get there. And I'll never forget the face of Kelly standing in my dining room against the radiator, and this thing comes across BBC, said, Boris Johnson doesn't, or the MHRA don't trust capillary testing, the testing from home. So Kenny goes, business is shut. I said, Just remember, this individual said, who stood outside number 10 like 10 days earlier, said, if you've got an old piece of rubber or rusty nail, you can make a ventilator. We just have to think outside the box. The city made you think, how do you go from A to B, B to C, etc. So we ended up, there's a property company that wanted to bring back their cohort of people, their employees to the London office. And we got introduced to them, can we do something? Having met and worked as the concierge, because I was called the concierge in the city. Your traders don't like you, your clients don't like you, but they keep coming back. Every day you've got to come back. Consistency. You've got your tie, you're ready to go. So I had this lady from this property company, and I've worked with some other people on the other end of the phone that made this lady look like, like she was sweet as pie, but she tried to bust my balls. And I thought, great, fine. So as you do in the city, you have to let them. So let's say we were at £79 and she goes, well, I want a phlebotomist, can you do this, that, whatever. Do you know what it's like to actually be a price setter in a new market? It's the most amazing thrill of wherever it goes. Because in the city, I'd stay every night. We'd have a secondary placing, we'd move a secondary stock by 1 cent to facilitate the seller or the buyer, whatever it was, right? Here, I'm setting a market for myself. There's no one there. What's the competition? So I said to Kenny, including the phlebotomist, everything else, I don't care about making money. I want to try and test the business. So I think I put the phone down. I let her schwitz for 10 minutes. And I phoned her back. I picked up the phone. I said, hello, Mrs. Smith. I'm happy to drop the price. And it's no longer going to be at £79. I'm going to do it at £58. I generally think her jaw hit the desk. And I put the phone down. She called back 2 minutes later. She goes, is that good for 50 people? The word from the city, my word is my bond. It's good for 50. She called back 20 minutes later. Is it good for 120? You're good for 120. So now I'm selling 120 things, called it £60. So I'm turning over £7,000 to try and test the business. I've got game. I've got skin in the game. So then she says, you think you're really good, right? And we're based in London, lockdown, etc. I now want to bring back Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool and Leeds. Can you do that? And again, there's no blueprint for what we're doing. If you want me to deliver, I'm going to listen to what you're going to do. Not a problem. Fine, we go and do that. And I had to send tests up to Manchester, sharps boxes, the whole thing. We ended up testing, and then we do, and COVID went along, and we got tested, and there are loads of, there's a light bulb moment that I can reflect on, and it was, we tested 100,000 people during COVID. Which is good, and anyone you speak to now, and they look at you, you're one of those. Yup, I'm one of those. And you took on how many competitors? 14. Where did they make off? Some made off like bandits, and they're sponsoring the Grand National. And I'm speaking to you on a Thursday afternoon because the pivot was amazing, and I put the pivot down to Kenny. We developed our own proprietary technology for days 2, 5, and 8 testing. So rather, our margins went from 23% to 70% overnight, and now we got skin in the game. Fast forward to the end of COVID, and then suddenly someone says, now what are you going to do? And it's amazing. People said, if you're trusted, you have an angle, we'll figure something else out. And from one test, we developed now 30 different medical certificates that anyone can buy anytime, anywhere, any place, all reviewed by GMC-registered doctors, all turn around, all of these are considered non-urgent under the NHS and all turn around within a couple of hours as opposed to 3 to 4 weeks and a competitive price to everyone else.
So just go back a bit to when you first met Kelly. I was interested to know actually how you did the deal with him.
I worked for nothing.
Right. For how long?
A long time. If you really want something, you've got to show. You've got to do the early reps.
Yep, I agree.
If you're not
how did that affect you emotionally? Obviously, you've gone from earning a really good deal, good salary, probably a good bonus, to all of a sudden nothing. How did that affect you emotionally and confidence-wise?
It was more okay, this is the big difference. During COVID, as COVID broke, everyone was defending their business. What do we need to implement? And I was building a business. So it was a different mindset, but it gave me purpose. So mentally, I was much better. Having not spooned everything I earned in the city, I had something to fall back on. And I also had an amazing wife that is a dentist that said, go and find something that you want to do. Now, she would have hoped we've made an exit by now. We're not anywhere close to that. But as my best mate said, and it goes back to the time in the city when I was unemployed, when you're unemployed, you don't know where you are. It's like layers of fog. You can't see through the fog. But as you get clarity, you get vision, and the vision comes clearer, you get your North Star. That then gives confidence. That's when you can come into a meeting and hold your head up high, as opposed to being down in the dumps. So emotionally, it was great. It kept me busy. It was an amazing experience to have. You know, I'm always trying to save on the margin. So when we're doing the tests and we're packing the tests, I've got I've got every kid in and around Queen's Park where we live trying to come and work for me to earn £10 an hour to pack a test in order to improve the margin by 50 basis points. Right. Remember, I'm building a company. I'm selling a cotton bud for £69. Right, so that's what it was. So it was actually the challenge. It was about going after a deal. One guy came in, bought 800 kits one day. I've turned over £30,000 by picking up the phone, telling him I'm going to deliver, and I delivered. I had every single pop star coming into London having to test to release on Christmas Eve, on New Year's Eve. I was at every party if I wanted to be. But the real light bulb moment was, and I'll share this, the lady, it was in the August of 2020 and the business is ticking over, whatever, we were trying to build it. And a lady turned around, put in an order. So I'd always have dinner with the family, then I'd go back and work. Lady said, put in an order, can someone call me? I'm going to call her back, yep, customer service, we're open 24/7. And she said, can you help me? And I knew the lady from the city. She goes, what are you doing? I said, this is what I do now, how can I help? My father has got cancer. He's got a high fever. This is Thursday night and he's due to have an operation on Monday. If it's COVID, he can't go and have the operation. If it's cancer related, they can just do. I said, fine. I said to my missus, I'm out of here. I drove 6 miles north London, further. I then drove back into the city, back into Euston to TDL. I'd drop off the test, knock on the door, my one bullet, right? Turnaround time was about 18 hours at the time. This is August 2020. And I said, cancer patient, I needed the result yesterday. I was working to 2 o'clock in the morning every day. And I got the result back at 1:30 in the morning. And the gentleman, it was cancer related. They trusted the drugs and he had the operation and he lived for another 19 months. And there I said to me, now, you said to me, what did you want to do? I said, no, I'm going to go into healthcare in delivery, whatever it is. That was the light bulb moment, and that stays with me every day. Should we, and can we make a difference? That's it.
Neil, I think your story is inspiring. I'm interested in, so we got to the end of COVID, and obviously you now need new products. How did you devise a whole array of the products you've got today?
So Kenny, and it goes back to Kenny, CEO and Chief Medical Officer and technically gifted. Think of another use of the platform, right? You developed a platform, margins are great. How can you actually develop something else? Being a doctor, he knew what doctors would use and what they were using. And coming out of COVID, would they be able to do this, facilitate it, not do it? And then we've got 30 certificates. So from sickness, travel, visa, and sickness travel visa, and 30 different certificates. And it's about partnerships, and it's about networking, it's about going to events, and it's about, Gary, when you can go into an exhibition room and you've never seen someone, you can go up to them and engage, you either have that or you don't. So I'm blessed. Can you look someone in the eye? Can you do it? And 2 years ago when they started, who are you? Da-da-da. I go to trade fairs every other week now, wherever possible, to build relationships. Not because I want to listen, I want to understand. In this day and age of hiding behind a screen, building a business in an office doesn't work for me. You've got to be there, you have to listen to your customers. You see the whites of their eyes. How can we help? What can we improve? Today I've had 6 different phone calls. Local authorities, cruise line, insurance yesterday. What bit can we add on that is there and remain focused? You know, our medical team, and I love every single one of them, they validated nearly 70,000 certificates over the last couple of years. I've got
how many in your business? How many people in your team?
We are lean and mean. We have got 5 people internally and marketing and tech externally. And we have got 7 doctors, 1 doctor pretty much working every day of the week, and we're trying to scale and have impact at the same time.
It's amazing. So talk me through a day-to-day process, how it actually all works.
I'm obviously in charge of relationships, B2B2C. In the startup, you do everything. The one program I always used to love was Back to the Floor. And remember where you started, Gary. I'm the one that takes out the garbage. I'm the one that ensures the lights stay on. So whatever your numbers have to be, you have to figure it out. The days are varied, so it's about the network. It's about discussing things internally. It's about focus. It's about refocusing where the tech spend will come and what we need to do, why we want to raise, do we raise again, what we need to do. I tell a good story. I tell a really good story. I tell one of change. I tell one of. I think you have to answer the question slightly differently. What is the motivation to go to do what you're doing, even though you're still not earning the right money or the money that you want? It's the backing of my dear wife that's let me go and do this, right? And she works hard as a dentist. It's also that my kids, so my oldest kid at the time was 11. I remember when he's now 8, coming up to 18. I remember he said to me when he was 15, he used to get up and work in the morning. He's always had a bit of an entrepreneurial thing about him in school. I said to him, so why are you working so hard for your end of year exams at 15? Because let's be honest, Gary, you and I never did any work when we were in school. But he said to me, Dad, I will never be made redundant. So the life lesson and the rebase and not going on holidays and making sacrifices and the drive to win, the drive to educate, the drive to be more present, so whether breakfast in the morning or dinner at night as opposed to the city, it's the ability that actually to take control of your own destiny. And even on a day that it doesn't, or things that don't occur or people don't want it, go back. I'm the concierge. I want to be concierge and Uber for medical certificates. I remember the products we sell is nothing that anyone aspires to have. I want to be the default. When you need to go on holiday, you need a certificate. So we're working with Expedition, we're working with airlines, we're working with pharmacies, we're working with the NHS, we've done all the DTAC, we've done everything that we need to do. Competition doesn't scare me. That's the other thing from the city. Whether it be JP, Goldman's, broker, wherever it is, doesn't make a difference. Is the market large enough? Is the TAM, the SOM, all of there achievable? And what do you need to have a good business?
Tell me for the listeners' sake, just exactly the different subjects on certificates that Zoom cover.
Okay, that's a good one. So let's deal with so 30% of our business is travel related. Pregnancy fit to fly, travel cancellation, chickenpox recovery, allergy certificates. Those are our bread and butter. So travel is about 30% of our business. We're trying to do partnership. Our certificates have been First of all of our certificates are reviewed and validated by our doctors, all GMC-registered doctors. Our rejection rate is about 8 to 10%, so we give money back if we can't prove to where it is. So we've got partnerships within the travel. We're looking at expeditions, 400,000 people a year that need to go and have an expedition certificate to get on a cruise to go and see the penguins. I'm trying to do a deal with them. That's worth 35 million quid a year. Okay. We do sickness certificates. I'm the only gentleman you'll ever meet that's beneficiary of both COVID and Brexit. So if you want to go and work in France or work in Greece or go and live in Spain, wherever you need a doctor, our doctors are all registered. It's not only GMC, but FCDO registered. Sickness certificates. How do we improve accessibility for people for housing support? They need a letter for the local authority. How do we improve that Mrs. Smith, who's 68 years old, needs to renew her blue badge? How do we become the default, not only saving time for the NHS, but more importantly, saving money for the local authority? The medical team, as I said, done nearly 70,000 certificates. We've saved the NHS nearly 18,000 hours. That's the driver. That's not the money, that's the driver. Because, and we've got some really aggressive plans for growth. And when if over the next 2 to 3 years we can get to 20,000 certificates a month, 8 to 10x from where we are now, we will turn over 250,000 certificates. That's 830 certificates a day. That's 15 doctors working every single day, 365 days of the year. And we'll save the NHS in a single year 50,000 hours. That's a good enough driver. Again, I don't mention the money. I don't need to mention the money. That's what we're after. That's the prize.
How do they access for certificates? So, you've got agreements with people and clinics and different companies. How do they actually process and get them?
Everyone can go to ZoomDoc.com, ZoomDoc.com, and you can purchase the certificate directly. We have affiliate partnerships with some of the largest pharmacies in the country, Pharmacy to You, Chemist for You, Weldrix, Camsons, all of those. All the apostles are referring people to us, airlines are referring to us. So they're all affiliate partners. We're partners with Doctor Care Anywhere, one of the largest virtual GPs backed by AXA Insurance. And anyone that can help us open doors to travel agents, travel, visa, whatever it is, we're agnostic. We're sector agnostic and we want to help wherever we can. And they're all range between £50 to £75, which is cheaper than anyone else, is trusted by more people than anyone else, humbled by the nearly over 4,000 people on Trustpilot. For the record, I respond to every Trustpilot because I want to know not what's gone right, but what's not going right. Right? There's a great book, Uri Levine, the founder of Waze. Focus on the problem. Focus, 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 focus. Be trusted. What other bits can we do, via different networks? This one introduces me to this airline, that airline. We know what we want to develop. We know what we're trying to develop. We're reverse engineering our platform into the NHS with a collaboration with an NHS trust. If you would have said to me 6 years ago, you'd be so deep up to your neck in certificates, you're working with some of the largest brands, you're working with some exceptionally gifted people, and you've got some amazing network of people that you've got. I feel like a kid in the candy store.
Does everybody get their certificate by applying as an individual?
So it's all individual. It's all individual. You purchase it, you check out, you get a unique reference number, you upload your medical evidence. So maternity notes, we need to see your full maternity notes, summary care record, whatever the different workflow is. You get it. Our doctor reviews and verifies. If they need extra information, they will send an email. If they need to intervene, they will give you a call, etc. It's delivery we've taken an antiquated process of medical certification. We've turned it into 21st century. We will be implementing AI to make the process even smoother, but they will always be validated by a registered doctor. And not only are we trying to do it here, we're trying to build a SaaS model for the rest of the world. Other doctors, different jurisdictions, providing the same thing. How can we help?
What's the plans for the future?
Be humble. Continue to be humble around what we're doing. I want partnerships. I want real partnerships, longevity of partnerships. It's actually, the phrase build and conquer is different. Build, be trusted, be in front of them, show them the service that you're doing. The idea is to scale this business to become default for medical certificates. Are we going to be a unicorn? No, that's not where we are. But do we have an opportunity to build something that's scalable and actually have a bit of city savvy about how do you do something slightly different and knock on every door? There's nothing you can't do. And it's not, I hope none of this has come across as being arrogant in any way. It's more the fact there's a problem to be solved. I'm passionate. I'm obsessed. I think I'm obsessed.
What's the hardest part of building this business?
Getting your head around marketing and marketing strategies, which are different as it's moved, and it's expensive. It's the willingness to wait and see how partners develop and what they do and how do they promote.
Talk me through that a minute, will you, if you don't mind. What are you asking the partners to do for you?
We've got a number of partnerships. So if you've got a large cohort, take one of the airlines, they've got 17 million passengers a year. Where does it fit in? Some airlines want to have an international product reviewed at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I don't have doctors here. Do I have doctors in their own jurisdiction that can do it? If you've got a partner, like some of them, how do you signpost to customers? How do you make it, and you're bidding against each other, whether it be PPC, SEO, GEO, all of these different acronyms to how you get your product out there. If I were to say, okay, I'd love to be on LBC and I'd be able to give a 30-second spiel and have it out there and everyone would know about us. So you have to remember, the product is not something that you aspire to, right? When I need it, where am I going to go? So I want to be the 5th emergency service. I need a certificate for work. I need a certificate for university. I can do all of these things. It's trusted. It's trusted. So it's about actually, as the hardest part I would say is how do you scale? How do you scale now? Right? Whether that be technology, whether that be additional team members, a whole load of things that you need to facilitate in order to grow. And actually taking counsel, and listening to mentors that know how to grow businesses and know what a real strategy. And you're taking outsiders' money, potentially. I don't sleep, I'm an insomniac. I don't stay awake out of fear, I stay awake I'm looking forward to the next day.
Do you get any leisure time?
I like to go to the football, and my team's actually doing really well at the moment. So I take my son and go with mates to the Arsenal, which is great. I like to run, I like to swim. So I try and do that a couple of times a week. I got more time with my family, even though they say you never switch off, which is just part and parcel of where I am. I'm 53 to be able to do something completely different and hopefully make something of it. Hopefully make something of it is what drives me.
So what's the plan? 5 years' time, say, for example. Where would you like to be in 5 years?
5 years' time, I would like the business to be turning over 300,000 certificates a year. So that is, call it 30,000, 350,000 certificates, saving the NHS 50 to 100,000 hours, making some real money, being able to pay back in different ways. I think you have to realise, and even now, having been made redundant, or having been tapped on the shoulder, let's use that phrase, because it was a reorg as opposed to actually doing something wrong. The ability to learn and spend quality time, right, and surround yourself with those that you really want to be with, have impact by what you do and have impact on a wider community, and to be able to make an exit but still be within healthcare. Because I think healthcare itself is the most important thing, right? I think more importantly, with the healthcare angle, where else can you go ahead and try and help? And it's about the people, the most amazing network of people completely outside of my comfort zone that I've met over the last couple of years that said to me, I really like this. I really, really like hanging out with them. Or they're thought-provoking. They're things that are trying to get you to do. And in 5 years, I'll be 58. I'll still be working. I want to work. What is success? Success is financial success. It gives you optionality. That's all it does. Being an older entrepreneur, I'm not going to go and spunk it. Doesn't make a difference to where it is. Have impact. I think that's the biggest thing, and can try and solve things. And I want to be a disruptor, but a disruptor in the right way. No silver spoon to this. And all good companies, you have to show up every day. You've got to show up every day. And it only takes, as someone who was going to invest but didn't last year says, the difference between a weed and a flower is a bit of love. All we need now is a bit of love to really scale this puppy.
So talk to me a little bit about investors. Is that something you're looking for on a regular basis?
Okay. As a startup, you're always looking because you've got to keep the lights on. We bootstrapped ourselves whilst we're trying to do this to show that we're getting to profitability, to get a better valuation. We were able to extend our EIS under kick status, knowledge intensive criteria, so there will be a fundraise coming. That's going to happen. What we look for, what do I look for? I look for patient capital. That someone's not going to come to me at the end of every quarter and say, well, you said you're going to do 7,500 certificates, you did 7,129, where are the extra 371 that you should have done? Right? I don't need that. I want people that know how to scale, I want people to know how to push me in my 50, to really get me to say, okay, you have turned over 15, 20 million quid a year in 5 years' time. Keep it really simple. Keep it simple, keep it honest, and the conversations, ongoing conversations where people say, actually, there's something about this lunatic, he's a Michiganer. A Michiganer actually wants to do, right? You've got to do something a bit different.
Yeah,
right?
I love it. I love it.
Oh,
Before we wrap up, well, what's your advice to people sitting in those offices, sitting where they were, thinking they're going to rule the world as a salesman, a broker, a trader? You know, they're going to be a partner of Goldman Sachs if they're very, very lucky, compared with entrepreneurship. What's your advice to those people?
I would say plan for it, because when it hits you like the Matrix. I was literally planning my trip to New York that day to go and visit clients the following week, and I get hauled in. So is that, unless you've made so much money that you don't need to work, and some of them have, then figure something else out. It also depends what drives you. If you're solely driven by money, then, you know, I take any of these people that say they ran a desk at any place in any industry and it's easy to be an entrepreneur. You have no idea, mate. You have no idea what it takes to come in every day at zero and hopefully you're going to turn over 3 to 5 grand, right? And that you're going to build something and you're going to get another customer that's going to be happy and another one that's going to do it. Plan, figure out the bits that you don't want to do. And say, I've got so much resilience. It's actually, you know, it's like, I spoke to one entrepreneur who made money, lost the money, made money, lost the money. You know, a friend, someone that I know for a while. You're like a boxer on the ropes. You're a boxer on the ropes. Are you getting up? Are you getting up? Do you want to jump the next division? And just keep it simple. Simple and honest.
The one thing that I've learned through, I've worked for myself for a long time now, is how you deal with rejection. Is that something that affected you? And how did you cope with it? Because I think all entrepreneurs have to learn to deal with rejection and push through it to get to the end result.
So the rejection is you've been turned down. And I remember some of the calls in the city and some of the run-ins I had. Like one of my best clients said to me, never call me again. So what do? I put down the phone and I called him straight back. If you've got a solution to what you're trying to do and you've listened and you've tweaked it, it's okay to have no. No's okay. It's okay to turn us down as investors, no to turn us down as what's it. I'm so determined that you're going to come back and you're going to say, why didn't I? Why didn't I? There is that resilience. And it's actually, I'm trying to help people that are unemployed and there's a wonderful organisation that I'm trying to help, specifically people that I know. If this schmuck can do it, anyone can do it. Right? I'm not...
Well, I think you underestimate yourself, but...
okay,
I'm a person without blowing smoke up your backside, as they say. I think what you've done is incredible.
I think it is. It was actually having the backing of my best mates in the world. My best mates, my bezies of bezies, right? In different ways. And they would all of them, whether it be support, whether when we raised originally, when we did it in 23, we're in. And why is that? Because they always said, you're not going to go and spunk it and you're going to try everything, right? And when you take outside money, you have to look them in the eye. And we've all know people that we've worked with, whatever, charlatans. I want to be the best. I want to have the best team. I want to build the best team. I want to have the best board. I want people to knock on doors and blow them open. I want, like Michael Caine, blow the bloody doors off. And actually, from the footballing, from the analogy in Arteta, believe in the process. Believe in it. If you do not believe, you do not have the confidence to go and speak to someone, go to them. And actually, the biggest difference between the city, I'm not selling something. I'm listening to understand what you want. And I'm going to make sure that I am the default for where you are. And I've got lists on this phone of people that have said, no, no's fine. I'm going to develop this to make sure that you're going to come back and say, why didn't we? Could have, should have, didn't. That's what it is.
Amazing. All right, Neil, I think that's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed this podcast. It's actually been a lot different from most of them, and it's been really eye-opening. And I'm sure our listeners have learned a lot from you about human nature, perseverance, and how to really start. We talk to a lot of people, but very few have real-life stories like this. If people want to get hold of you about being an entrepreneur, persevering, they want to learn more about your business, how it can help them, how do they get hold of you?
Well, I think that the best way to interact directly, if you want to hear about the stories, link up with me on LinkedIn. I think that's a great platform, and that does help. It actually does tell a story, and some of the posts that I do is not, I'm not a sales guy, I don't want to be a sales guy the whole time. But it actually, people get to see what makes you tick, whether it be family orientated, whether it be mentors and all of these things. I'd love every customer, everyone that listens, if you ever need something, I'll give you the Rolls Royce service, ZoomDoc.com, ZoomDoc.com. And if you really want to touch base, Neil at ZoomDoc.com, Neil at ZoomDoc.com. Absolutely. First of all, I want to thank you, Gary, for inviting me.
It's been a pleasure.
Humbled again. It's all about, for me, and it goes back to people, and I will choose my language carefully. 2 cars in the drive, nothing in the fridge, right? So you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I do.
It's about humility. It's solely about humility and payback.
Fantastic, Neil. I really appreciate this. For everyone who's listening, once again, we want to thank Neil for everything today. But it's been a great podcast. For anyone who wants to get hold of me, Gary A1 Solutions, you can do via LinkedIn on my website as usual. Thanks for attending to today's episode of Wise Tech for Wise Money, and we'll be back in a few days with a new one. Neil, once again, thanks very much